Hello everybody, let's exit to port. It is currently the 28th of October, 1842, Central European summertime, still, somehow. I think we changed actually this weekend, as far as I know. We have a familiar sound in the background, aka my partner in crime when it comes to this podcast, Mr. Grumbles the Dwarf. How you doing, Grumbles?
Hello, it's me down here. I'm doing good, thank you.
Good. So once again, the podcast kind of came stumbling upon us, mostly because, so last time,
yeah.
Last time we recorded, and life was grand.
Mm-hmm.
Life was wonderful, and then suddenly, it's like a lot has happened. Like it's been a couple of months just now through October. I feel like it's weird.
The world does feel very busy, yes.
Yeah.
A heck of a lot going on, a lot to contemplate, a lot to think through.
So I think it was the day or a couple of days after we recorded, I lost my job.
Mm.
And in all of that, we've had both good news and bad news from our good friend Grumpy. There's been there's too much. There's too much to sum up. And I feel like I might have jinxed things by saying stuff like, oh yeah, I don't need the ad revenue money. I can give it to my mods. Because I know I said that last episode, and I was thinking, hey, I could do that. I could give my ad incentive money to my mods as an end of year bonus. You know, I could do that. I shouldn't have done that.
Well,
that's what I get for trying to be kind.
Yeah, stop jinxing it for everyone.
It's all on me. I'm sorry about that, everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, we have a few topics to talk about, but first, before that, I actually forgot something during our editorial meeting. Hey. In regards to OBS Ninja. And the tool I showed you in regards to Pathfinder Adventures and so on. They've been using it. It looks amazing, by the way.
Yeah, they have got a really, really nice overlay now.
It looks really good. It does, and it just makes so much more sense. So I love this. So kudos to them. Anyway, I was thinking of, with that as a setup, we do not have to be doing stuff with our cameras or such. We could start doing this live again. We could, and have the same camera feeds go out to both places, and that way we know that everything is correct, and yeah.
Yep.
So
that'd be good for our specials at least. Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm thinking like end of year special or holiday specials or something. You know, that's something we could do. Anyway, we're already digressing. Let's just jump straight into World of Warships. Where we recently had quite a long dockyard again. And this one, I feel like I've heard a lot of people say it, that this one, which is to Puerto Rico again, was very intense. Like it was just very, very, very intense. And much like after any dockyard, I'm getting a sort of a post-dockyard dip. That's a hard thing to say.
Post-Dockyard dip.
Yeah, that's the one. I don't know if other gamers will associate with this, but for me, when I've had like an intense goal-driven grind, and it's like, yeah, we're doing this, we're going on, and then suddenly everything's done, that change to go back to the normal grind, which I absolutely love Warships as a base game, just kind of playing it and shooting other people in the face and blowing up and going hee 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 hee, you know, all that thing. Like, but going from a very goal-driven thing where you're supposed to set 156 million fires, okay, conqueror, you know, you just keep on doing that. I get that kind of post-Dockyard depression almost, because it's like, yeah, what do I do now? And but it's not really because I'm lacking a goal. I still have goals. I still have things to do.
Mm-hmm.
I just think it's because the Dockyard is so intense. There's just so much that you feel like you have to do a lot of the stuff.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that game developers are sort of aiming for. Typically, is that at least enough. So I guess the minimum is like a sufficient sense of you need to return, you need to continue, you need to be in the game doing something. And I guess it depends which way you look at it, right? You could say the super successful ones are the ones that make you want to come back no matter what all the time. You know, I would hope it's more the ones that have a balance, that there's enough of a draw without the feeling that you're kind of married to the thing, or whatever expression you want to use. But I get that, and I can understand it. I personally don't do any real grind stuff. I use the word grind. I talk about it that sense because that's like the common language for it. But I don't feel that I get it. I feel the sensation of, I'd really like to do this thing. I even looked at some of the Dockyard stuff, but I've been just enjoying the game so much more casually. And it's taken quite a long time, like on and off, like to coach myself into that way of thinking and genuinely like acting that way, and being self-aware and thinking like, do I actually? I know that's how I want to experience it, but am I actually experiencing it that way? And it's. I guess I've just reached a point now where that competitiveness isn't really there. I'm not trying to compete, and so I don't feel like I get as hooked into those. Like, I would have liked to have done more of it, but you know, between not having the time and actually when I look at it, I'm like, I'm almost the opposite, or not the opposite, but a very different mindset to it in that I'm like, I'm more put off by those kind of targets than I am positively influenced by them, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And again, I haven't seen it really as a negative thing. I'm like, you just need to get X, Y, Z. You know, and I looked at a couple of them and it was like, you know, get this many of torpedoes, and I like the way it was done. I guess it's not that different, but it seemed fairly well put together in terms of like this and this in destroyers, this and this in any kind of ship, this and this in cruisers. So it was kind of like some good variety there. I'm not going to comment too much on the actual numbers and mechanical aspect of it because, as I said, I didn't really pay that much attention or get too caught up in it, but yeah, my main enjoyments come from pretty much like one battle at a time kind of mentality.
Yeah, you know, the Dockyard, they had some pretty intense base XP grinds,
right?
And when we're talking base XP, like everybody knows, it's the number that shows up in the team sheet. It's not the number that shows up on the Finnish screen together with your credits. No, it's the it's the basis of what you did in the game. And and when you have to do 36,000 base XP in one ship, one type of ship, like we're talking only battleships or only destroyers or only cruisers, but because of the amount of missions that you need to do in order to fulfill the Dockyard, suddenly you're stuck with having to do 2 of them, unless you're lucky enough to get a Kraken in a game. I'm just hoping that, like, I'm carefully optimistic about the introduction of the Battle Pass, changing the intensity of these things, so that we see more of a long-term grind that keeps people coming back in a healthy way, where they still enjoy the game, they still want to spend some money on it from time to time and do their thing, but not this grind that can end up almost killing people, you know.
Yeah.
And completely and utterly killing their joy for a game, because I've seen that so many times.
I fully agree. We talked about it. I think it's what I call that at the moment optional content, and just getting into that mindset and really drilling it in, home for myself as well. Even though I kind of believe it and I want to believe it as well, it's reminding myself, look, fully optional. You don't have to do any of these things if you don't want to. If you can do it, if it's fun, if you need a target for an afternoon, you need to get your mind off things, whatever, cool. But if you catch yourself in a moment of like, oh my God, I hate this, or and you're sort of seeing red over it, that's the point where you've got to say, okay, either we need to step away at least from this particular challenge, or we need to step away entirely. And I think that's like I was saying before, that's what the developers, I guess, are trying to find that magic balance on, is what's enough to make people want to keep coming back. Without them feeling so burned out and fed up that they basically get through something. So you get a Puerto Rico. I remember, I think it was the PEF, the main one the only one I've ever really done, where it was like, okay, I've done that now. I got the ship. I'm super happy. Play it once. Okay, now I'm logging off. I'll be back in a week.
Yeah.
I'm just exhausted.
Yeah, because the Prince Eitel Friedrich grind was also really intense, and it was just at the tail end of another one, and it was on it was right on the heels of a third one. Like, it was smack bang in the middle of two other grinds. And like, I know this is my hill to die on, and I will gladly do that. The content oversaturation is intense. And it's not good. It's not good, because what you want is, you don't want to necessarily flood your people with things to do and such, because if there is such a thing as too much choice. A good example of this is actually a real life story from a tiny shop in Norway that sells jam, homemade jam. One day they showed off one of their homemade jams in the windowsill. Yeah, people came in, and then next week they did 3, and a lot more people came in, and then said, "Oh shit, well, let's show off as many as we can." And then they showed off almost their entire collection, and then suddenly nobody, because people were like, oh, it's too much. I'm gonna walk away. It's too much, and it's too difficult to actually decide on something. So, I fear that Warships might be heading in the same direction at the moment. So what I'm hoping from the Battle Pass and the future is, rather than having these way too intense time-gated grinds, that will have a bit more relaxed grind where you can pretty much just play the game in a normal pace, like War Thunder. Yeah, you have a mission. You have 2 daily missions. That's it. But then you have the larger missions that pop up once a week. But it's one. It's 1 and 1. It's not, you have to do 5 separate ones before the week is done. No. It's 1 a week. And then that'll count enough towards getting you up there. But it's mostly done through just normal playing. And I hope that the World of Warships one will be in a similar way, where it's focused on the normal play the normal grind and the normal way of accessing the game rather than on the grind itself. You know, like the mission grind.
Yep.
So, yeah. If you suffer from post-Dockyard dip, get yourself some water because you deserve it. I don't know. I don't know why I made that into an ad. I have no idea. But speaking of regrinds, or grinds rather, you mentioned something today that I fully agree with in regards to the new economic bonuses.
Oh, yes. Indeed. It is a nice segue, by the way.
Thank you.
It was just the realization over time and sort of feels confirmed now that it just feels a lot more comfortable that you can do your research bureau regrind of your tech trees if you want, or whatever. Just do a progression through the game in what feels like a much more comfortable setup with these new bonuses. And again, I'm sure there's all sorts of smart people doing numbers and whatever, but just from talking about it from a psychological, like the more subtle subconscious feeling, when I look at it and I'm like, oh, I've got to get from this tier 7 to this tier 8, or I want to get from the 8 to the 10 as quick, it feels just manageable. Like I'm in the past, you could have these stonkingly good games, but I found that my averages were like, whatever the numbers were. So you wanted to get 100k XP, and you say, oh, I'll just try and get 10k per game or whatever. That felt like more of a challenge. Like you'd push yourself a little bit more. It felt frustrating. And now I'm like, even if you're not necessarily winning, certainly if you're winning, that helps. But just going through a game where say nothing spectacular happened, but you had the bonuses on and maybe just did okay. In fact, I'm just looking at a screen now. An Amagi game, 111k damage. It's got the screenshots up in front of me as a reference point, and 8k.
Yeah.
So it just felt comfortable, did a reasonable, had a reasonable game, and the numbers just kind of added up. So you're sort of doing this 8 to 10k without feeling like this wasn't like a 200k I smashed half the team kind of thing. Yeah, so I'm enjoying that. How are you finding it with the bonuses?
I'm very much enjoying it, and especially these days where I'm trying to bring everything up tier by tier. So right now I've brought everything up from tier 7 to tier 8. Like I have no tier 7s that I'm trying to grind anymore. Everything's at tier 8 or 9 and ready to go up the next one, and it's way more comfortable to do them. Like I click one button and I know what bonuses I have on my ship, and I see the reward rather than, oh, I put on that flag and that flag and that flag, I missed that flag, I don't need that flag because it's not commander. It's all of that, and it's so much easier for me to kind of visualize, okay, this game was meh. On a loss, I still made a good progress on my ship. I don't mind as much the loss anymore. It's still, I still need to have an okay game myself by all means, but it's still, it's a whole lot closer. So it's way more comfortable. I'm super happy with the bonuses, and I do believe that the community is also kind of starting to lean into them and going, yeah, you know what, these are okay. I'm okay with these.
There's not a huge uproar. There's certainly no congratulations and celebrations, but there's just a quiet murmuring and of sort of general contentness and nodding, muttering in the corner. You're never going to get people coming out going, wow, wargaming, woo! But they're just this quiet murmur of acceptance and mild appreciation, I guess.
Yeah, there's the odd muttering, fine, it's an okay system, whatever, But yeah, I do believe that kudos is in order for wargaming because it's a big change. It's a big, scary step to take. And it worked out. Honestly, It worked out. So I'm super, super happy with what they did. So, yeah, speaking of other good things they do, how about that new ship, yo?
How about that ship, yo? Yeah. Anybody who's been tuning in and a couple of times I've played recently on EU will have noticed the Velos or Arrow. But yes, as Tiger asks in the notes, is it just Greek for fun? I sure think it is. That ship is just thoroughly entertaining.
Like, let's point out the fact that yes, it's a Fletcher, so the ship it's based on already is a pretty good ship and a pretty fun ship. But what they've done to the Velos, they removed one torpedo launcher. I think they removed one gun. Or
yeah, it's 4.
Yeah, but they fire faster and the torpedoes reload faster.
Yep.
And it's just no, she's fun. Oh, she's a lot of fun, yo.
It just does good things. It doesn't feel overpowered. The rate of fire, it could be argued like with that rate of fire, that's pretty intense. But I wouldn't call it overpowered as such. It's got the smoke, it's got some AA about it and whatnot, but it's it doesn't have any radar, it doesn't have any hydro, which is a good thing because if it had either of those, then I think we'd be having a slightly different conversation about it feeling kind of dirty. It is very sneaky, 5.8. But that's not necessarily it's not an overpowered thing. It's just one aspect of the ship. Plenty out there that are as sneaky. She just does a job. I have to admit as well, I have been playing it as the filthy long range gunboat edition, with the torps just as an added bonus, and they're really nice when they do hit. The filthy gunboat edition is, I think my range is 16.2.
Yeah. Something like that.
Yeah, it takes you like half an hour for your shells to get there at long ranges, obviously, but it's hilarious. Do play it like that. You will annoy people. Don't worry about it. There's plenty worse things in the game. And I've always said with the fire meta, if you can't beat it, join it.
Yeah, no, I tested out the fire rate way of playing it the other day. Oh my lordy!
Oh yeah.
Oh my god! And then I took some damage, and it was down to like 1.4 second reload or something.
Yeah.
Oh.
There's definitely an argument for that as well, and mixing up your captain skills, maybe going for like 14 kilometers instead of the 16, and a little bit even more spam in the air. She's just a really, really fun, and I guess the word for it we use these days is comfortable. This is a really, really enjoyable experience. So kudos to them, and the camo. I'm not trying to sell this to people other than, well, if you think you'll like it, great. But the camo is fantastic. So if you can do your best to get hold of that without grinding yourself into submission or spending money you don't want to, whatever, but I would thoroughly recommend it. It's beautiful. It'll be available via other means in the future as well, but all that later to come.
Yeah,
next year.
The Tridem, if I'm saying that correct, camo is beautiful.
Yeah.
Like, art department again on point.
Yep. Oh, before I forget, I want to mention something that came up in chat today. There was a suggestion that the look of the camo, and this should at least intrigue people who haven't looked at it already to go and have a look, that it should automatically constitute that you're wearing a ramming flag. They have a ramming flag on your ship.
Yes.
Because of the way it looks. And I'm fully behind this.
It looks
I'm wondering
amazing.
if it's probably like a topic, a Pandora's box or whatever that Wargaming wouldn't want to have opened, but what about that as an idea?
Like, I mean, they used to have the CC flag that permanently gave more XP and money or whatnot. But I'm like, if people choose to spend that much money on a camo, why shouldn't it have just a tiny feature? You know? And it doesn't have to be a lot. It's not like you're going to go around and use the Velos for ramming actively. But it's... some might argue, unfair advantage. I'm like, yeah, but is it though?
I just had an idea, right? Maybe instead of that, what about if it was less mechanical and something else that was just fun? It's just a wacky idea, right? And workshopping stuff is dangerous. What about if instead of some mechanical benefit like that, which I still think is a cool idea, what if instead of that, it did something like it put a message in chat saying, you know, bonk. Or it just made a certain noise when you rammed with that camo on.
Well, yes.
It just like, I know what it could be. It could be this. That's it. It quacks at you when you ram someone with that camo on.
Well, I mean, we have the West Virginia horn and the Iwaki Alpha horn, so
yeah, there you go.
Why the hell not? You know,
I think I got to patent this quickly before Wargaming take this idea and implement it.
So, like, why not? I see all these other crazy skins that could easily give quirky things happening. So, I mean, it's kind of like the double A feature on the Atlanta, where if you keep if you keep that on the Atlanta, like, you'll never run out of it. Like, it's not a consumable as such. It's just something that you can use. Yeah. So I wouldn't be too opposed to something like that, but it wouldn't have to be like, it would have to be something that's already in game, so that it doesn't necessarily give an unfair advantage. So just adding a signal effect or something to it, I'm not opposed to it, especially when it's something as innocuous as a ramming flag.
Yeah,
it's not going to break the game.
Nope.
Watch RAM statistics go up by 100%.
You ruined the game. Blame these two podcasters.
Poop. But yes, there are other games out there, however, that we play, and they have skins, even user-made skins, which came out in big force with this recent update called Fire and Ice, which is for War Thunder. It's the big update that releases the Finnish vehicles into the Swedish tech tree, as far as I know. And they have a lot of cool vehicles. And there's a lot going on in War Thunder right now. And this weekend that we are currently talking about in end of October, there are Twitch drops. I don't know anything about any future drops. However, they usually have drops multiple times after each other. So first there's one weekend, and then there's another weekend. So just keep your eyes open for that. But Twitch drops for War Thunder is a cool thing, and you really see that it helps the creators, and I absolutely love it. And I think World of Warships they've done something right in giving it to all channels that stream it. But at the same time, it feels kind of cool to have a bit of an exclusive, because the War Thunder drops are only for registered channels. And they usually have a lot of cool stuff in them. Like, we're talking cool camos, even vehicles from time to time. Once you're Like, have you looked at the drops that's for War Thunder this weekend?
Yeah, I mean, the ones that are running right now, they're more the sort of simplistic ones. Another snail, that's the most important to me.
Gotta have the snail.
I've got that one. Thanks, Sean. Some RP, some research bonus ones, a day of premium account, which is quite nice. So like a straightforward monetary value one. And can't remember the full thing. But yeah, they do a variety of things as you've described already, and I agree with you as well. It's kind of nice to kind of, I guess it gives that community and that sort of team feeling that you're like part of the actual process and supporting the product, and they're supporting you. Feels good.
It does. It does. And let's not forget, like you mentioned, John. Great guy, by the way.
Yeah.
We absolutely adore him. He does a lot of cool stuff, and he's well worth following. But yeah, the Twitch drops there. I like it. It could be cool to see something similar in World of Warships, where it's not just the crates and such and the missions, but like a flag. Like they have the art department that could make like a seasonal flag. Oh yes, we were there for this drop or whatever. We were there for that drop, or maybe an insignia that you could have. And on that same note, I would love to see the same thing for the CCs. Because the CCs in War Thunder, if you get approved, that is, you get your decal in game, and people can buy it as a revenue share thing. And I think that's really cool.
Yep, agreed.
And I would love to see the same thing in World of Warships. You know, flags. People could buy flags. It doesn't have to be a huge monetary thing. Or maybe an insignia saying, "Hey, there you go. Enjoy. Here's your support to the Grumpy Beard or Greifer or whoever you want to support." You know, like, yeah, give it a tiny bit extra to be CC. Not that we do get a lot of stuff, and I'm super happy about being a CC for both programs. I want to point that out. But you know, it's the evolution of things. Let's keep it going. You know,
I think you're right, and I think it reminds me a little bit of some of our conversation earlier about the pumpkin event and that. I think those are the kind of things that can really, as I do believe fully that wargaming do, you know, give a lot out and support their CCs with what the program offers, and I believe that with War Thunder it's similar. It works in a distinct way, for sure. So it doesn't seem as obvious, but I think there's a lot, and I really appreciate what they do too. And I think that you could argue that there's an element of the CC program, I think, on the wargaming side that's a little generic. Like, you get the recognition of the individual and the branding of your channel and all that, you know, being part of it, but it's like, here's that logo, here's that flag, you know?
Yeah.
Whereas, as you said, with the War Thunder thing, I know that the decals work differently and all the rest of it, but by virtue of that, you have a much more personalized and therefore I feel more community and supporting a channel's community kind of oriented experience.
Yeah.
I definitely see that. I think that's a real thing. I think it feels like, on the one hand, you're part of a single community, sort of curated and maintained by the company, the developer, and on the other hand, it feels more like a partnership that you're that they're helping to promote your brand and that. And again, I'm not picking on the one or the other. I think that there's merits to both. It's
oh yeah, definitely.
Just interesting to think of it in that perspective.
Like I'll be honest.
Mm-hmm.
If people could buy my logo, for as an insignia or something to have in World of Warships or a flag, I'm not sure, but I think I might be slightly more incentivized to actually get people into the game and, you know, promoting it. I still do. By all means, I create content for them for a reason. I wouldn't be doing that if I didn't like the game. I wouldn't be doing it if I didn't enjoy the program, and I wouldn't be doing it if I didn't believe that it actually is a fun game.
Yeah.
So I am still doing a lot of promotion and such. I could probably be doing a better job at it. By all means, I will gladly admit that. But, you know, I'd maybe push a little bit more if I knew. You know?
Funny that.
Yeah.
Different level of motivation.
Yeah. It's weird.
I think it's a similar thing, just expressed in slightly different words. I feel that way, but I feel it especially because I think it would. I think one of the things we're looking for and that we all celebrate and enjoy the most in the company themselves as well, and all of us as players, or most of us, let's not say all, because people like different things. But the aspect of it is that community feeling, and I think that it's a very strong and capable and overwhelmingly positive community. There's always outliers in every aspect of these kind of things, but overall, I think they're just quite a tremendous bunch all around, the Warships community.
Oh, yeah.
And that could just be because we're all suffering the same fate, or, you know, you can make all the insert your jokes here. But I do think that there's a possibility there with what we're talking about to enhance and add to that sense of community. In a way, and it doesn't necessarily have to be something that is incentivized in that sense or whatever, but I do think that there's scope for those things. Yeah, like, it was just interesting train of thought there to follow.
Yeah. So I don't know. I believe that the content creator program is also an opportunity of doing something with the Twitch drops, you know, where you want to have something special, you know, and not necessarily have it spread to everybody, but give a kind of a feeling of exclusivity, you know. Then you could give a special drop to somebody. I don't know, like it's an opportunity at least, and it would be cool to see it, because Twitch drops, like we've already talked about before, are an amazing tool, and I would love to see more done with them.
Yep.
And we're speaking of other things I'd love to see more done with. King Jeff. King Jeff is out being a murder hobo again.
I think it's an experimental punal system that he's working on.
It's just a face, Mom.
Yeah, I've been thoroughly enjoying my time in Kingdome Come Deliverance. It's one of those games that I'd sort of glanced at and kind of had on the list for a while. Same with the Banner Lords, and just never had the time, opportunity, or whatnot. And then, you know, as is sometimes the case, and I've been very blessed in this regard. You know, a member of the community and good bud decided, well, let's just force him to play it by buying it for him. And I was like, well, I don't know how this is going to work out. And it turns out that it's I haven't played enough of it yet to kind of draw I don't want to draw too many parallels, but it's definitely got a vibe about it, like similar to Red Dead in terms of like my experience playing and being immersed in the story and enjoying it. There's a lot, obviously tons and tons of difference as well, but there's definitely something there that I feel is real in terms of how you get drawn into that story and what's going on. It's fun. The combat system can be a bit of a struggle sometimes for me.
It's hardcore.
But the point is that the story and when you get, when you work it out, for example, we won't talk about this too much in detail, but using the windmill to my advantage in one particular 5-on-1 fight, you get your little moments of you make your own luck, right? Yeah. And it's very, very realistic in that regard. But yeah, just beautifully well written, well voice acted, well crafted story. It's just super, super fun, and it's another one of those. I've been lucky enough to play a few of those this year, where what I'm looking for as a role player a lot of time is the feeling that you're just going to like step through the screen and into the world.
Yeah.
That you're there. I should also emphasize, not vice versa. I do not want all of these minions of Jeff appearing in my room right now. Most of them. Well, anyway.
So the ghost of certain coal burners.
Look, it was an aggressive interrogation tactic. We needed answers and we needed them fast.
Yeah. So should we explain to the people at home, or are we just gonna let them be befuddled?
I think we could briefly explain it. Let's not make it into a big thing. But
so I was watching you on the day of said coal burner incident.
Yeah.
And I think this was probably your first day. First, like, it was very early on. It was early on. Yeah. It was very clear that this was early on because things were overwhelming. There was a lot going on. Grumbles gets a quest, or Jeff, I should say, gets a quest to go talk to some coal burners. This after having dealt with a lot of mean people. Let's be fair. Like, there's been a lot of murder. There's a lot of negativity has been going on up to this point. So, being the man you are, you kind of assume that these people are not friendly.
Yes.
Yeah. So you get into a crouch position and start sneaking.
Yep.
What happens next, Grumbles?
Well, so I feel like there's a couple of small elements that have to be really emphasized as well here. This particular part of the quest, firstly, Tiger is you've hit it so well. Everybody and their aunt and their dog was being mean to Jeff. So
they really were.
I'm trying to role play this and he's gone through this horrible trauma. I'm not going to go into the details. I don't want to spoil it for anyone, but it's pretty horrendous, and so he's not in a good state of mind. And I'm trying to sort of RP a little bit of that. And so this quest, this part of the quest is you're looking for someone, and you've got a clue that some people might know where this person is and may have been doing nefarious things with this person. So I went there but the specific wording was question these people, these charcoal burners. In my mind, I read it as like, well, take them down, incapacitate them, rough them up a little bit. That kind of went in that direction.
Yeah,
even though
they're
that's
suspects clearly, because you need to question them. Like, these are suspects. They're not just witnesses.
Yes, exactly. So these are suspicious. So I went there, and I thought, well, as you said, creeping up. I thought, well, I'll improve my stealth because you've got skills and that in the game. So I'll work a bit on my stealth. I'll do like a stealthy takedown. I'll knock them out. This will be fun. I'm sure this will go really well. So I sneak up through the bushes on this one guy. There's three of them, and they kind of walk around and do the usual sort of NPC things, although it feels very natural playing it. It doesn't feel like just a routine of like he walks here and then he walks there. It feels like, oh, he goes over there and does a thing, and then he goes and has a rest because he's tired or it's late or whatever. So there's all this stuff going on in this world, and I successfully sneak up, take this one guy down, and then the second guy is approaching, and then he hears me because my character's, it's early on and I don't have all the developed skills, so I'm not exactly like Metal Gear Solid level or whatever. So this guy's like, hey, what's that going on over there in the bushes or whatever, like? And I'm like, yeah, this ain't all that good. Anyway, one thing leads to another. The guy that's down, it gives you options on the screen, and you get like a quick E press or a prolonged press of E to perform a different function. I didn't really pay attention. So it was like loot was one of the options. And I thought there might be something like, I don't know, tie him up or something to question him. That was what I was thinking. Too much Red Dead. Long story short, or long story long, the long press of the E key was like mercy kill, like put them down. They're unconscious. Put straight through the heart with a dagger or whatever. You're just giggling like, yes, you saw it. I'm describing. You already know this.
I do.
So yeah, I believe there is a Twitch clip.
Because the reaction and the kind of the realization on your face about how dark this game actually is, and potentially what you've done is like, oh no. Oh no!
It was horrendous, and because I had like multiple layers of realization, kind of like in series, not all at once, but like at first it was like, oh dear, Jeff is becoming a murder hobo, and then I started to like in these split instance, your mind's racing. I was like, well, he's gone through a really hard time, like not justifying it, but just like this is his position, this is this character's reality right now. And thinking, and then like within about 10 seconds, 15 seconds, it suddenly occurred to me, sort of to glance at the mission again. And I was like, hang on, it suddenly occurred to me how there's no sign of this one guy I'm looking for. How am I going to get any information out of any of them if they're not just stabbed to death, obviously, but even if they're just unconscious? If I'd gone through with my plan to knock all three of them out, how was that going to bring me towards finding the person I was looking for? So it was like this multi-layered realization that my character was a lot darker than I was expecting, and that I had completely flummoxed or misread the old doobly-doo, and done unnecessary levels of violence. So we with one of them dead, another one, I think the other one was like, oh, what are you doing to my buddy? So I had to murder him quickly, and then it was like okay, we're gonna reload that scene, this mission, because that's basically the mission over now. So we redid it, and then I reread the quest itself, and it's like, yeah, question them, and I was like, okay. And then literally the deja vu was like riding over to their bit of camp, and then dismounting, and then just walking across and going, hello, I'm Jeff. I've got questions about this guy I'm looking for. Complete like two completely different versions of the story. One was like the PG-13 afternoon, sitcom or whatever, and one was like the after dark, after the watershed. Make sure your kids aren't watching this horrible.
I was trying to focus on other things that day, but I couldn't. I was just the realization of like the stories playing out in front of me. I just had to keep watching. It was just too good. It was just too good.
I've never lived that one down, I don't think.
No.
There's been a lot of moments I struggle to live down, but that's right up there with them.
Yeah, no, I have a couple of those myself, so, Yeah.
Yeah.
It's but that is one of the dangers we run into as as World of Warships players. Hello, as as content creators and Twitch streamers, I guess. But no, seriously, if you want daytime TV, watch Grumbles play that game. It's fantastic, honestly.
It is good. It is. I like that. I didn't, you know, I've not had a chance to game a lot through my life, my working part of my life, and now it's fun to just learn also about myself and what you know, how much fun things like this can be in these immersive stories. It's it's grand.
You know what game I want to see you play?
What's that?
Knights of the Old Republic and Knights of the Old Republic 2.
Oh yeah. Mm.
Because role-playing games and Star Wars, dude, yeah. I want to see that. I think that could be cool. Speaking of other cool things,
yes.
So I've been playing a lot of Satisfactory lately.
Yes.
And I will continue to play a lot of Satisfactory because it's become a different game than when I first started. When I first started playing Satisfactory, it was this game of, oh yeah, let's just get to the end goal for me. Which has its own other smaller goals, small obtainable goals, the entire way that you're trying to fulfill. Which is super nice for my brain. But I've always operated with the functional first kind of idea of the factories.
Right.
Like, get it to work, get the parts produced and do all those things. But recently, I've started kind of doing more like let's get the builds to be pretty. Let's make it look good, but also function, you know? So it's in that transitional phase of going from we now have something functioning, now let's make it look nice and also functioning. And as part of that, like I've recently started thinking about how I place stuff, so I don't just go for functional first. Like for such a long time, it's been okay. Just kind of stretch a band there, a miner there, and then afterwards we go back, pick them up, and replace them in a way that looks better. But recently I've started doing these smaller builds, these smaller parts of my factory, where it's like, okay, if I put these up in that way, then I can use this part to transfer over there. We can put walls around there, right? And I do the planning of what is not just a functional first factory. And it's kind of, well, kind of at least it lives up to its own name. It's not just satisfactory. It is very satisfactory that you have something that functions but also looks good enough to kind of show off. And then you play together with others and you're like, hey, this is a cool idea. Yeah, I can do that for my build that comes down the mountainside there. Oh, and then you start getting more and more ideas and I tell you, it's a highly addictive game.
That's very cool. I like the sound of that.
So, and they're still in development. There's going to be a story. There's going to be story to it. I'm looking forward to that. I'm really looking forward to that. Like the coffee dev, what are they called? Coffee Stain Studios. Hello, brain.
Studio.
Hello.
Okay.
Before we go on, I'm just gonna open my door to the office because it's hot as old balls in here. So I'm just gonna get some oxygen in here. Tiny second, and then we're gonna talk a bit more about Coffee Stain Studios. There you go. Now I have my headset on again. Coffee Stain Studios, the developers of Satisfactory. They actually have, I think it's weekly streams where they play their own game. They look at mods, they look at community events, they look at community kind of things that community do, like factories and so on. But they also actively talk to their community in a good way. And yeah, I know they're not that big of a company compared to other games that we play. But having the devs in chat, like recently with the last big update, where one of the devs of a new area, she had been told that she had to stop working on it because they couldn't, like, they aren't gonna be able to make the other areas as pretty. And she was like, oh, okay, so they stopped development on that area because it was done. It was very done. And on the stream, they were looking at the new area, and then one of the community managers, he said, like, oh, such a beautiful area. I can't wait to put concrete and steel all over it so nobody sees the trees anymore, you know.
Wow.
Which is kind of part of the point of the game. but seeing her in chat then going, hey, you know, and actually having a reaction from the developer of this in chat is wonderful. And I do wish that we could see that from other games too, but knowing some of the communities of said other games, maybe they don't want to hang out in that chat. But, you know, I'm just gonna shut up.
Yeah.
But no,
it is a pity. It is a pity that people can't be a little bit more. But you know, that's it. You're trying to play on people's emotions to get them hooked on things anyway, and then you got to deal with all the repercussions of that.
Yeah.
Not that justifies it in some cases, but
no, by all means not. Oh my god. The amount of people that take this game so to heart, or any of these games so to heart, that they let themselves get angry. It's kind of scary. Like, if it's no longer fun, walk away. That's something I will always stand by. Speaking of things to stand by, we no longer have to stand by Twitch. Well, we kind of have to. But partner exclusivity is gone, and I know we mentioned that before. And the reason why I'm mentioning it, wow, hello brain, mentioning it now, is because I've kind of been thinking of taking the opportunity of it and using that opportunity that it gives. We both have YouTube channels. We both have the option of streaming to said YouTube channel. And I've been thinking of keeping Warships and War Thunder on Twitch, and then moving other games, such as story games, to YouTube.
Interesting.
Because the instant VOD into a published video.
You'll get there.
Will I though? Into a published video, into a playlist on YouTube, ready to be watched, is so nice. Like, the thought of doing that instead of having to export from Twitch or sitting down and recording, editing, and then uploading.
Yeah.
I think that is, yeah. And then I could, like, you could have, like, it's going to be the same brand, same style, but where notifications are going to be different. Like, we're not going to have loud noises or such, like, because it's going to be story specific, you know?
Yeah.
So
It's a good idea with the different content. I definitely think that story style, slower, calmer stuff would work well on YouTube. What I've been thinking is something that struck me recently, and I read a couple of things as well, including one thing by Loco, but some stuff I've been thinking about recently anyway. In general, is sort of based around like how to get a bit more YouTube content out there. Because like, as you said, where's the time? You got time and energy and whatnot, and the creativity that you have to put into, and it's not a complaint about it, but just the reality of what it takes to put that kind of stuff together. It's quite a lot. And sometimes we just run out of time, at least to do things to the level of quality that we like. And what I've been thinking is maybe switching from, because I've been doing a 6 days a week schedule and I love it. There's nothing better for me than being live. I absolutely adore it. But I've been thinking about maybe switching it up a little bit. Either do some shorter ones, like half-day ones or whatever, and then using the rest of the time, or just actually reducing the number of days by say 1 or even 2 at some point, and using those days in air quotes off to create other content, to do like the YouTubey stuff and that kind of thing. Because I think that there's definitely a sense, and as a relative, as relatively new person in this space, even if I've been doing it a few years now, whatever, but it still feels very fresh in some ways, or very much a learning exercise. It definitely has that sense of you got to keep push. Why are you not on 7 days a week? Why am I not doing 2 streams a day every single day, and on all that kind of thing, and then because I'd love to do all of those things, I genuinely would. The reality is the people that often can do those things, and there's not that many that do it successfully or like in terms of quality, they usually have like a team around them, a management team, editors, all those kinds of things, right? So maybe those will be things that come down the line and I'll be able to plug into those as well. But at the moment, as like a one-stop shop, it's massively overwhelming. And again, not in any kind of complaining way, just that it becomes stressful because I want to put a video. I made a video the other day when I had a couple of days off on Wednesday, kind of ready to go. It just needs a little bit of editing, a little bit of a wrapper. That's it. But when and with which energy and whatnot, and the timing. So it's kind of sitting there, and I'm like, oh, I'd really like to put that on there. But yeah, be interesting.
But part of what stops me from doing that is, and it shouldn't, is the fact that I know that anything I put out on YouTube will not create a possibility of revenue. Up until a certain point. Anything I do for a podcast, anything I do for anything else, will not result in actual revenue until a certain point. I'm already at that point with Twitch. So being live on Twitch will create the option of revenue. However, the diversification of your own stuff and getting out there on different platforms is super important. Twitch themselves have now gone out and said that the biggest way of getting discovered on Twitch is not on Twitch. It is through other media, TikToks, YouTube videos, and so on. Like the CEO of Twitch has recently said that. I think it was right before the last TwitchCon, where they talked about this and said that, yeah, you should be on other platforms. You should be out there. And I think that's also partially why they got rid of partner exclusivity. Because if I can be live on TikTok and stream and so on, that I'm live here or on Twitch, that's going to bring more people in. They see that, and so many people see that. So yeah, I'm all for diversification, but like you say, when are we gonna have the time and place and energy to do it? It's a big thing to kind of even try to prioritize, even if it's just 1 or 2 days a week. It's a lot.
Yep.
So, get out there, everybody. Get out there and seek out your favorite creator on different platforms. They will enjoy it.
Well, one of the things leading on from that as well, just briefly to touch on the topic of reruns, is I took my first 2 days off, like as in I have Mondays off in theory, but every other day I'm on doing something. And on Monday I'm usually sitting there doing a YouTube video because it's the only time I've got to do it. But I took a couple of days off for the first time this year, and it was really refreshing. I found myself sitting there like trying to produce a little bit of music that I had some ideas on and had a lot of fun with that. Ended up doing like a little YouTube thing on one of the days and got some IRL stuff kind of taken care of, and it was just good just to slightly recharge the batteries and that. But it helped me solidify a little bit that thinking of like, this, I have to deliberately take time away from the thing I like doing the most, which is being live on Twitch and interacting with everyone. I have to deliberately take time away from that if I want some of those other things to actually sort of, at some point take their first, progressive steps and start to fly a bit. And I thought, well, another opportunity could also be doing some reruns on Twitch so that I don't feel, whilst I'm not there, gives people who weren't able to make a particular live stream a chance to catch up. Some people might have really enjoyed it and want to watch it again anyway. You make sure that it's clearly marked as a rerun, all that kind of thing. And I thought, okay, this, at first I thought reruns, that seems odd. And then with this new thinking, I thought, well, it's actually just a way to stay in touch and stay connected and have people just come and maybe leave it in the background or whatever they're doing, that kind of thing. And I found that they've changed up the whole dashboard thing and the way it works. So you can no longer like pick some VODs and schedule them as part of your rerun queue or whatever. Literally now all you can do is you go to your stream info and check a box that says this is a rerun. Mm-hmm. That's it. There's no scheduling. There's at least, or I didn't find it or see it. So I was like, hang on, this is almost pointless.
Yep.
People should just go and watch my VODs, or more realistically, this will force me or persuade, be the push I need to go and take time off of Twitch to create YouTube content, which is the de facto VOD platform. Because, why not? If you're going to make it difficult for me to do it, why would I bother doing it at all, right? So I actually, and I really want to emphasize, the person that answered the support ticket was great, and they were clear and provided all the information and very friendly and stuff. Really appreciated the interaction with them. But I raised a ticket saying, I don't know if this is just me, but I can't see all of these features. How do I do a rerun? Because all I was seeing was literally this edit the info, put rerun in the title, which is 99.69% useless. So in terms of what I wanted to achieve, which was to remain engaged with my community and possibly you meet one or the other new person through your VOD being up and your channel being live. And they replied back with all the info and all the articles I'd already read and were like, this is how you do it. And it was like based on feedback from the communities, and people found it confusing, and we got a lot of, negative feedback that people didn't realize it was reruns or that people were abusing the system. And I was like, but surely you could have just added this tag and changed the rules to say you must mark it as a rerun and left all the other scheduling tools and setting up a queue of videos. And because like the worst thing I want is to run a rerun where I have to be at my system somehow to trigger it starting, and then what? I have to manually stop it. And the whole point was I need to go out and do real life stuff, so I can't be at home. Otherwise, I'd just be live. They basically made it seem impossible and pointless for me to do a rerun. So, way to go, Twitch. Again, really want to be clear. The support person was awesome, but the concept of these reruns was like, this is really stupid. Yep. This is a really stupid implementation.
Yep.
So I just thought I'd throw that one in there as a little anecdote because it tagged on well with the diversification, I think.
By all means, and reruns are, when used correctly, I think they're a good idea. But yeah, like you said, it needs to be clear that it is a rerun, and I don't think that should be very hard at all to do, because as soon as you go to the VOD and you click rerun, the rest should fix itself.
Yeah, it's be so the easiest automation ever. Did you click go live in a streaming product?
Yeah.
Or did you pick a box in a VOD list? Done.
Like it's not that hard. Like and where it says live, no, have it say rerun.
No, we've implemented a little circular symbol with an arrow on it that makes it very, very clear, if you're a coder, that this is a rerun. It's like, no. And then like, oh, we recommend that you put the words rerun in your title. Why don't you do that when it says rerun? Why don't you put me in a category called reruns? or here's an idea, a tag.
A tag or something big above chat saying this is a rerun.
Yeah. Please don't interact with the streamer, but you feel free to interact with each other if you want, because that could be quite fun. Also, stay for the ads. Thanks, Twitch. Just like I just couldn't believe it. I was like, I love the platform. I love having the opportunity. But come on, guys! It's like I guess that goes hand in hand with the. Basically, what it is it's the. We could have done this, but we couldn't be bothered. So just use YouTube for all of your VOD content.
Yep.
Or never ever take time off of Twitch. It's like.
Oh, speaking of Twitch, and something I recently noticed that I hadn't really been aware of before, regarding the incentive. You get paid parts of the incentive.
Oh, yes.
So if you only do partially, you get paid that part.
Yep.
Which is good.
Yep.
So now I just want to then clarify and kind of ask the question I've asked a few times before. Why in the ever-loving bleep do we have to have automated ads so we can't run them ourselves when we feel it's possible? Thank you. Why? If we can have a partial payout of the incentive, it shouldn't be that hard to allow us to do a partial part of, okay, you've now run 3 minutes of ads this hour. Okay, that's one of those 67 hours you needed.
Yeah.
You've now run 2 minutes of whatever. It's... Do
you know what, another thing as well, just to tag onto the back of that?
Yep.
I think it's awesome that there's really cool creator people out there that are like digging into all these things and reading the articles and helping, because I learned it like via Twitter and people like Loco and Zach Busey and that. But why is that also a thing? Why Twitch is it that in order to understand what on earth you're on about with these things, we have to rely on other really goodly people for free, taking their time to explain to us, other partners and affiliates and whatnot, and just generally anyone on the platform, how your stuff works? Because the whole thing with the incentive program is like a dark cloud of doom hovering over all of us, and with lightning strikes hitting us and people being like, I hate all these adverts like that all the time. So why not make it clear right from the beginning? Because I mean, don't get me wrong, I probably missed it or whatever, but where's the clear statement? Where's the, hey guys, there's been a bit of confusion, we've been running this thing for a few weeks now, so here's some of the most common questions, here's an FAQ on it. I know they're starting to do that now, but it feels like after other people have already done the work,
And like you said, I saw the stuff from Jack Busey and the others before I saw the wiki article, or the Twitch wiki article, whatever you want to call it, that they put out. Because I honestly think that Zach Busey had the information before Twitch put it out.
It felt like that to me.
Yep.
Like I don't know the timeline exactly, but in my mind, I like read this stuff on one day and I had time to think about it and digest it. And then the next day I saw more tweets and other people and be like, okay, this must be a real thing. And then later that day or whatever, and this could just be like US time zone, whatever, but it felt like the information came out at least the day before. And then the next day, Twitter was like, oh, we'll tweet something about it later.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that sounds about right.
It's not to say they hadn't published it somewhere, but it's like there's something that important that's affecting everybody on the whole platform, which is what the ads does. You got to get that information out there, even at the risk of repeating yourself.
Well, hopefully we will be able to speak loudly and clearly, both so that the people in the back and the people up top hear us. Because I honestly think that the way that you and me have sort of designed this idea of how ads can work, it's better for, I would probably say, about 99.99% of all the channels that run ads. Like, I hate to stick it to the affiliates, but they can have the auto runs. I'm sorry, but there should be some some hello, what's the word? Advantage to being a partner.
Differentiation. Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
I kind of agree. I think they should have more choice in the sort of things we'd like to, but it maybe should just be different ranges. But I agree, because we've talked about this before as well, and I think it's super cool that a lot of the lines got blurred and stuff went away. But it also, I think it detracted hugely from like the partner program itself, in that it felt a little bit like, well, hang on, what was all this big fuss about being partner then, if you're going to give this to everybody anyway? You know, as a broad, I went through some of those emotions. Overall, I'm like super happy, and I'm glad that affiliates and people get these chances as well, and it encourages people to to make ends meet for themselves and whatnot. But sometimes it does feel a little bit like, what is your plan here? Where are you going with the partner program? What is it going to be? Because if it's going to be like, oh, you get this ad incentives program, nope. Next experiment, please.
Last note I want to make about the ad incentive program. I saw a tweet when last month's or when November's incentives started rolling out to people. I saw so many people tweet their incentive and say, should I take this, should I not? And Cletus Buford was one of them, and he said, we're going to run these ads because it's going to give us these opportunities, both from meds and everything. It's like, go for it. Do it. It's big. It's a big bag of change, and go for it. And I think it was in some X amount of $1,000 for that month.
Yeah.
And then
it was a really ridiculously large amount. It was a horrible amount of ads though, but it was like, okay.
Yeah. Then I saw Admiral Baru post his incentive. His incentive for running 8 minutes of ads over a full month. $44,000.
Wow.
Now I know he has it's a big channel. Let's be fair. And there's quite a lot of people hanging out there. But my God, $44,000 is more than some people make in a year.
Oh yeah.
And people were like, dude, take the bag and then just, I don't know, take a few months off or something, because like, yeah. And I'll be honest, if I were offered $44,000 in ad incentive, I'd probably be running that. I won't lie. I'd probably be running that. Anyway, let's move on over to a different topic that has less to do with money and more to do with the act of knowing your role with Tiger and Grumbles. I don't know, that sounded horrible. I'm sorry.
That is not an intro tune for this.
Wait.
You played one key and then you sang a bit.
Know your role.
There you go. That'll do for now.
It's better.
Don't worry, everyone. We won't edit that out.
It's always kind of weird just to kind of stretch back to the keyboard, hitting 3 keys and hoping that it sounds good.
I could hear you had the thought and you started talking about it, and then that feeling of slight regret of like, I wasn't at the keyboard. Oh damn it! But I've already said the words. I can sense the whole thing going on there. I would have done exactly the same thing.
Yeah, no, it's like, maybe one day I'll pre-record some and actually have them on the Go XLR ready to just punch them in. But yeah, for now, we're gonna stick with what it is.
You know what we should do? We should do one where, in an imaginary world where we're not organizing and running this at the last minute of the month, we should have a bit where we have the editorial meeting, but it's deliberately like a half an hour before that, where it's just a jam session, where we just like have the keyboards or whatever and just throw like silly tune ideas and like whatever and it's like strictly time boxing, so it's like 30 minutes or something, and whatever we come up with that we like, we go, right, that's the one for today.
I'm very down for this.
I think it would be hilarious and probably terrible a lot of the time, but in a really good fun way. And I think people would appreciate it. So, but yeah, you know what we could call it? We could call it workshopping. This is the tune we workshop for today's podcast.
Oh, you know what? We would need a jingle for the workshop part of it too.
Yeah. Oh.
Like and suddenly I'm envisioning dwarves kind of hammering at anvils, dink 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 dink. It's like all these things. Right. We have the workshop. Here's today's jingle. You know, that sort of thing.
I've been watching the Hobbit movies, and now you've just basically put me straight back in it again.
I've been watching The Rings of Power with with Mari, and people can say what they want about it. I absolutely love that series.
It's all right. It's quite entertaining, I found. Yeah.
Like, who cares if not everything is 100% canon? I don't care. It's in the Lord of the Rings world. It looks fantastic. It has beautiful characters. I'm down for it.
Yeah, that's kind of how I looked at it. I made a conscious decision, having seen like some of the people getting all hot and sweaty about it. I made a conscious decision. I'm not really one of those, I don't know enough of it anyway. But I'm not the sort of person that's going to get too worried about that kind of thing overall, unless you blatantly, and maybe this is how people feel, but if it was like, let's do another Star Wars movie, but there was like, Superman appeared in it, and there were no blasters and no Jedis or something. Like, what is this? You've just, But I made a conscious decision. Like, this is either just going to be fun and entertaining on its own merits, or it's not. I don't really care too much about what world it's set in and that kind of thing. And I'm pretty sure that LC is in the process of unfollowing my channel right now. But I just wanted a high fantasy show that I could hopefully get into and enjoy the characters and the stories and whatnot. And without any of the stress. Like, what's the point of stressing about it? If you don't like it, just don't watch it.
Exactly.
I know some people are like furious. It's like, you can't do this to this world that I love. Okay.
Well, except we can.
Yeah, except they can, and they did.
If you don't like it, then don't like it. That's how simple it is.
Sorry,
Walk away,
Elsie.
sunshine. It's not worth getting worked up of. But yes, something that is worth getting worked up of is a fantastic idea that I saw on TikTok before I marched on down to the office today. And it is the idea of pitting the character's mission that you as DM gives it, as opposed to a rule that goes directly against this mission that you put on the player. Let me explain. In the TikTok, there was a DM that said, I gave a player character a mission of assassinating another character in the party. But I gave the player strict instructions that killing another player in the party is not allowed. And then it's the idea of, like, how do you go about doing your mission as a character, but what do you do as a player to kind of keep up with the rules? So the way this character did it, it was an assassin, and he was looking for opportunities of poisoning its target. Suddenly, the target starts having to do constitution saves without knowing why. And it's like, that's weird. Am I ill? Or it's probably pass. And slowly getting worse and worse, up until the point where they're so bad that they will need the antidote. But then you have this assassin guy who is looking for a way out, like a way to not have to do the assassination, or to be able to give the antidote to said character. And what it ended up with was to find a redeeming feature. And the final kind of redeeming feature that ended up tipping the scales in the favor of the assassin, that he could now feel like, I can now give the antidote in character without it seeming weird, without it being strange or anything. It was that they were jumping over this huge pit, and the character that had been poisoned caught the assassin and prevented them from falling in and kind of saved their life. And at that moment, the eyes of the assassin's player and the DM met, and the DM knew, this is the redeeming feature. This is the redeeming moment that that Mr. Assassin can use, and then play it off in story, and yeah, and that just kind of gave me a really good idea. Like, it's like this is role play gold. What can you instill on a character and then oppose on a player that it's not intrusive, you know? Like, it's not gonna break them or anything, but they kind of have to go, okay, how do I solve this? And it's an honest to God great idea.
It's a cool idea, yeah. I like it.
How would you do something like that?
Well, I think one of the things you got, I'm thinking a little bit about an example, but I think one of the things that springs to mind is you've got to make sure that you manage it carefully, because, you know, player to player conflict is really tricky. Unless people like know each other really well, you know, you've got to have this a phenomenal amount of trust to kind of manage that or run stuff like that, in my experience. I think it's specifically a campaign where there were some, like, let's just say, like, very, in their own words, incredibly experienced, no doubt they were players, like, I've been playing since, you know, whatever, but they took it upon themselves in a group that sort of knew each other a little bit, but and then I was a complete newcomer, to basically just have their characters be dicks to other people's characters, and do evil stuff. And it's like, well, this is what my character's doing. He's kind of evil. And it's like, yeah, but we're not. It's not an evil campaign, and you're just going around murder hoboing your own, you know, and screwing your own team over. This isn't fun. And they thought it was fun, but it was clear that it wasn't really fun. And the DM just kind of, the DM was at the point where they were going to kind of stop DMing for a while anyway, so they just kind of let it go. Unfortunately. So I think I like the description and the way it was set up and in that example you gave. I think I've done things where it's been more of a, you can stop big bad evil, but only if you do such and such thing that will be really hard to sell or negatively affect character ABC. So and so the wood elf, your long-term party member and trusted ally and friend and whatever. But unfortunately, the only way to stop big bad evil, because he's drawing upon the power of the forest, is to cut down the big redwood in the middle and set fire to the rest of the forest. It's it's for the greater good, kind of, and make that a really hard sell, because the wood elf is like, do what?
Yeah.
I grew up there. So I think that I've had like some ideas and done a few things, not that specific example, but around that. And I think that can work quite well. But it's all a question of balance and whether you're going to have, like, what is there another way out of it, or do the players have to think their way out of it only, or is there like a remote possibility that can be not a thing, or that there's some other way? So that's kind of what springs to mind for me.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's just a great concept to kind of play around with, like, and how to do it well is, as you say, is so important, because I usually also have a rule of players killing each other. That's a no-go for me.
Mm-hmm.
But I can still put missions like this on somebody. But it's that way of solving that where you are RPing something, you need to roleplay something, to figure it out, and
I think
and having the wits around your character to actually pick up on stuff like this too. Like, it's not just the player, like the player matters here too, by all means, but you kind of have to get into the role of your character and say, would my character see this as a redeeming feature or no? Like, why?
Yeah.
So, and no, it's a great little mechanic. It is.
Yeah, agreed.
Just as a buy story, I've been doom scrolling on TikTok a lot lately, and I saw another great role play moment where the party or the DM describes that they have slain a lot of goblins. There are dead goblins everywhere, and they see a couple of dead horses too.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have these people start to make medical checks on the horses. They roll well, and the DM describes it as, yes, you can, like, with your expert knowledge into pathology and everything, you can surmise that it's indeed these 17 arrows stuck in the side of the horse that has killed it. and without missing a beat, you have the other guy, can I make an investigation check to the arrows? Like, yeah. Okay, rolls, does it well. Yeah, you can clearly see that the arrows that are in the horses are the ones that have been fired by the goblins. And he chimes in with a character going, I do believe that whoever shot these horses had their arrows robbed by the goblins. And you see the DM kind of realize, oh my god, it's a high and low wisdom kind of character, isn't it? And it's just a wonderful way of role playing and actually using your character. Absolutely loved it. And And the third TikTok story of today is a person that sits down and he watches all of these D&D. I don't know what accent. No idea what that accent was. D&D TikTok is full of videos of people playing their own characters and such. Recently, there's a guy who popped up. He started lifting these huge vacuum cleaners by just one hand, and being very barbarian-esque. And you have this guy who sits down and he takes part of what these people do, and he makes magical weapons from them. And in this case, he made the Big Suck, which is indeed just a giant mace, but it has some extra magical properties. He makes an entire stat pad out of it, you know? And I'm like, that's something I would love to see more people do. For instance, could you imagine making a magical item out of a selfie stick? What would be the magical items of, or what would be the magical properties of a selfie stick be?
Probably some sort of I don't know, extended. I was thinking about it as a prop, like some sort of extended reach, but it's probably something more about I always go in the direction of like it'll be something sentient, but it'll be like you'll be hearing yourself like, oh my goodness, what am I wearing today? Thanks, selfie stick.
I just kind of imagine it as being a stick with a mirror on it that allows you to see yourself as it is, and then from that you are able to create a perfect drawing of yourself. But it has to be facing towards you. You have to be in that image that you're drawing. And it can only be within the frames of the mirror. So I'm just kind of imagining an adventurer going around with a selfie stick. And then you're like, oh, we need to remember these runes. And he's like, okay, well, I'll get on it, you know, and he props up the selfie stick. You see half of his face kind of covering part of the runes. And then because it's through a mirror, the runes are backwards.
I like it.
And just like, yeah, I created them perfectly. Here you go. There you go. But not being aware.
Like, Jeff, what have you done? What do you mean, what have I done? I did the incantation. You were supposed to dispel the demon, but you've summoned a second one. Oh, God, read it backwards again.
I love that idea. Like just taking popular culture and turning them into minor magic items like that. It's lovely. So here's a question to the community. What magical items would you create from memes and popular culture? Give us a comment. Give us a comment. I would love to see some. Like, give them magical properties, and we will read them in the next episode.
Yes. Our favorites. We'll read our favorites.
Our favorites, yes. It'll probably be all of them, honestly. Let's be fair.
I just wanted to add a caveat in there in case someone comes up with something that we don't want to read.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair.
Not that I don't trust you lot.
Well, I mean,
I mostly do.
Yeah. Speaking of questions and comments from the community, can I just say I've been on point with the segues today.
Segues have been great.
They have been good. Anyway, let's not ruin that. Questions and comments from the community. We have a few good ones today. First and foremost, we just want to say thank you to DaHOGI for leaving an absolutely wonderful comment on the last video, or the last podcast. You know what? I'm just going to read it. DaHOGI says, I think the quality of Exit Podcast is getting better and better. I want to comment about New World. I stopped just like you after the game, and the grind was lifted up to enormous amounts. With the explosive amounts of grind, it was no longer possible to buy good stuff. And if bought, it was downgrades. Why farm all day long when there's no absolute benefit to it? Yeah. The worst thing they did was to support only big streamers when it comes to the creator program. The normal content creators usually bring a community who likes to play the game that the streamer plays because they like the mood and the way the games are played together. And I remember the beginning of New World, we had a lot of fun, but the fun was gone very fast, sadly. And he says, thank you for the series, Tiger and Grumbles. Go on, team. All the best. And it's these sort of comments that I honestly, I kind of live for them. And it's partially what made me want to become a community kind of gathering person on a content platform like this, where knowing that you've made somebody's day or given somebody a reason to smile, it's good.
Yep. Thank you, DaHOGI.
And we do wholeheartedly agree. We would love to see more support from the creator program for New World 2, but it is what it is. I mentioned it in the editorial meeting. That it felt kind of like just a press package that was dealt out to people that, hey, here's something you can do to spruce up your webpage or whatever. Mm-hmm. And yeah. But I had a lot of fun in the start in New World. I did. So I'm not gonna completely forgo the possibility of jumping in again to partially answer some of the questions Mari asked. But thank you, DaHOGI, for a very nice comment and for being a listener. That goes to the rest of you, by the way, also, not just DaHOGI.
Yeah, we'd like to thank all of you for being DaHOGI.
Indeed. Let's see here. I'm gonna bring up the comments that are in the channel. First and foremost, Aquila asks, what is something you said once to someone that you then later came to regret? Can be either a positive or a negative. Do you have anything?
That's a tricky one. I've I've lived quite a long life, I suppose. And life can be full of regrets. I'm sure that I mean, beyond just like the obvious ones when you're young and emotional and you get wound up and you tell people you don't like them very much. I'm sure I've got more than my fair share of those.
So many broken hearts.
Well, mainly just related the vast majority to my childhood, that's for sure. I suppose if anything, I regret sometimes more, like, I'm not going to give specific examples. I don't think that's really fair. Or at least I don't want to. But I probably regret most of all when I have not expressed enough how much I appreciate or cherish someone or something that they are doing for me or whatever. I think that's probably those feel like the hardest ones, especially obviously at the point where you know you don't have that opportunity anymore. Those are always hard. Good, but in a way, it's also, I guess, meant to be a positive example because it's something to learn from and grow from, and something I work very hard on now is trying to make sure I do express when I have those sentiments that I let people know. I think not today, but last week's grumbling, I had a moment where I was just like, wow, I'm just really happy to be here. And I'm really appreciative of you and Grumpy and our communities. and everyone just being able to have some fun together in this way. And I think that's part of it, and definitely what I try and coach myself to do more of is definitely not saying things for the sake of it, but when I feel something and I making sure that I do remember to express it so that people know, because there's one thing thinking that. Like I guess when I was younger, I had a lot of like, well, my friends know that I care about them and love them to bits because they're my friends, right? So it's obvious. And then you realize as you get older, maybe it's not always obvious, and maybe it doesn't hurt to just say it anyway. So I guess that would be my answer to that.
Oh,
How
absolutely.
about you?
No, I'm kind of in the same agreement there with you. With the act of actually telling somebody that you appreciate them when you have the opportunity, and that kind of plays into the idea of nice butt. To explain very quickly, the act of being able to tell somebody a positive thing about them without there necessarily being a lot of, like, there doesn't have to be something behind, there doesn't have to be an agenda, it's just something nice that you want to tell to somebody. But in this case, we're talking, it's important to tell somebody that you care about them while you have the opportunity. On the complete opposite end of the spectrum, I once told somebody that they were a great person and that I supported them and I thought they were great and like all these things, only to discover a few months later that they were an abuser. I was like, yeah, no, that's not okay. And I very quickly regretted those words because they were said very publicly. And then suddenly it's like, oh yeah, but you're his friend. I'm like, no, this was before I learned about said abuse of partners and so on. Because we're not talking drug abuse. That's a completely different story. No, this was abuse of other people and partners in their life. So I then had to find a way of expressing that very clearly, which was hard. So yeah, and I quickly came to kind of regret that part, and for natural reasons. Yeah. But I don't think I've ever regretted saying something positive to anybody. If like I aim to make somebody smile, and if I can say something positive to somebody that makes them smile or makes them have a better day or such, I'll do it. I'll do it. I'm not necessarily the one to stand by societal standards of, you can't just tell somebody that they have a nice butt or a nice smile and that they look nice. Like, why not? Give me a good reason why I can't just do it. They'll believe you're weird. Why? Also, good. I am. Anyway. Let's move on to the next question and comment. Blutinum asks, or rather mentions, Tiger mentioned a take me to the start of the ship carousel button on stream once. What are other things you'd like to see improved about or added to the World of Warships interface? And I have one. And I know I mentioned this before. It's in regards to the ready up button and screen in World of Warships. First and foremost, I would like a ready room where you have everything on your ship. We're talking bonuses, equipment, captain, like everything that goes on a ship, flags, you name it, everything in one separate screen, and from there you ready up, because that way you're kind of forced to check your ship and your captain. Now we're ready. And then when the entire division is ready, you get a little, or not atonal, but just a tiny reminder that we're all ready now. You can hit the button and go. It's and have it be optional. It doesn't have to always be there, It doesn't have to always pop up and say ding ding for everybody, You can turn that off.
That'd be kind of cool. Yeah, you definitely have to be able to have it optional for sure. I like the idea a lot, and I like in my mind I pictured it as almost like a checklist, but like in the style of like a clipboard from like a World War II, quartermaster or like a captain or somebody who's doing the checking that the ship is ready to go to battle.
Yes.
Have we got the ammunition? Check. Have we, torpedoes are loaded? Check. Well, whatever. You know what I mean? Just like that.
Is Chegg on board the ship? I know you're listening. But yeah, no, that would be cool. Yeah, because they could make it like more than just a very clinical screen. They could have an actual like look to it. Yeah.
I think that, exactly. And I think that would play into a lot of other ideas, like from what you were saying and how I pitched it in my mind. I could picture a lot of really fun, like simple animations or just nicer artwork. You've got this art department. They do a stunning job on all the things. Why don't we have them go to town a little bit on the UI? Like the ports are gorgeous, cool, and the chip models and that. But like you said, there is definitely a possibility there for something else you could sneak in that could look gorgeous. I think.
No, and I think somebody mentioned this on stream today. To have a filter for your ships for naval battles or similar, because you once you kind of enter into the game mode of brawls, it'll show you the ships that are available or any of those.
Yeah.
It would be lovely to have that option on naval battles too, since it keeps changing. And speaking of which, why isn't it enabled automatically? So yeah, that would also be nice to kind of be able to have more filter options, and maybe even add in the and or option or the not option. I'm thinking very much like a programmer right now, but let's say you cross off on German destroyers and Russian cruisers, not German destroyers and Russian cruisers in one giant bulk where you get both German and Russian destroyers and German and Russian cruisers. No. You get them separated. So so you find those different ships. I would love to see more filter options, basically.
Yeah, I've been using the filter a lot more lately, and I quite like that there's quite a lot of granularity, but I kind of agree with you that being able to sometimes you still end up with a whole ton of things to look at, right? And you're still not finding the wood for the trees, as it were. I agree with you. I think there's something else that could aid in that. I don't quite know what it is, but yeah, maybe what you're describing would work.
Honestly, I'd also kind of love give me a random ship button. For one of those moments where you're just kind of, I don't know what to play. Click. Here's the Königsberg.
But you could just pick a tier and then it would pick the ship for you.
It's like, yeah, sure, I'll go with that. That could be cool.
No, port, back to port.
Ah, too late.
Yeah, bad luck.
No, but I think that could be cool. There are probably a million other things that they could do. Honestly, I'd probably love I don't know if you've seen the mods that a lot of people are running where they show all the different currencies up top, not just free XP, doubloons, and so on, but they show steel and so on and so forth. They show everything.
Yeah, interesting.
And I think that could be good to actually have as a standard.
Mm-hmm.
So I know how much elite captain XP I have, and how much steel I have, and how much research bureau points I have. Like, it can be all summarized up top there. And but have it be optional. I want to be able to turn it on. Like, it shouldn't be something that is always there, unless you want it to be there.
Mm-hmm.
Because it can be information overload. So, yeah. Optional things.
Mm-hmm.
Anything?
I think the thing that we've talked about in the past that we haven't brought up this time, but I think fits in this perfectly, is we'd both like the option to dock the chat into the bar at the top, right?
Yes. Yes.
So that it's not floating around just taking up loads and loads and loads of screen real estate.
And you have to move it around every time. You have, like, just dock it.
Every time.
Yeah.
Let's just have that dockable. Because you don't want to minimize it because then you'll miss stuff, right? So definitely that would be something I'd like to see.
Hopefully somebody from Wargaming is listening and is able to take this on into some sort of meeting with Leicester Studios. Just saying.
Get it done, Leicester.
Yeah. No, I think that's about it. I think that's about it. Mari asks, New World Fresh Start servers, yay or nay for the two of you? Like, as it stands, I can't give a yay or a nay. If I had to be forced to give an answer, it would have to be a no. At least for stream, it would have to be something I'd play offline or off stream in that case. I'm very glad Grumpy is super enthusiastic about it, but I'm not sure. Like, I'll give it a go. I'll give it a fair shake to see, is this new, like, is it properly good? Like, what kind of end game are we gonna get? But yeah, we'll see.
Yep. For me, it's a no right now. I think I got so excited, and we've talked about this before, so I'll keep it short, but I got so excited with the response of the community, and obviously yourself and myself and Grumpy were really into it and really enjoyed initially the experience. But I got so burned by the mixture of bugs and the lack of content at the time, and zone locking, level locking, and all that kind of stuff. And I know some of that is just MMOs, and I just don't play enough of them, so I wasn't really expecting it, or didn't realize how heavy a deal that was going to be. But I just that, and I think in the fact that I really wish they'd make more out of the creator program. And yeah, there's an argument to be made that it's up to us and we've got to make more of it ourselves. Yeah. I agree more with your description of it than that. That it's just a marketing ploy more than anything. Yeah, I don't feel literally the only thing where I feel I'd want to is because Grumpy is so excited about it, and it'd just be fun for us to be able to hang out. But it's just not. It's not a product that I enjoy enough. I'll wait and see. I guess I'll let it launch. I'll let people play it. I'll try not to get drawn in by a lot of the big guns and whatever, and people I've got to know that make almost anything seem fun. Like, they could just butter bread. I mean, okay, it's a bad example. I like bread, but they could just be sitting there, I don't know, slicing and peeling an orange, and I'd be like, oh, this is entertaining. So I'm going to try not to get sucked into that. See how well I do.
Yeah. Guess we'll see. Mari asks a second question. Actually, she has 3 in total. But second is, what are your biggest Steam library sins? As in games you regret you bought, or games you didn't finish, or too many games, etc. Ooh, do we really want to expose ourselves like that on on the podcast? Like what? I would probably say that one of my biggest sins is that I have so many games that I don't have time to play them. And like right off the bat, I can see that I have Sid Meier's Civilization 3, 4, and with all the DLCs. So you have Beyond the Sword, Colonization, and Warlords for Civilization 4. Then I have Civilization 5 and 6. Like just there alone, there are so many hours of gameplay. Mm-hmm. So many hours of gameplay. And I kind of I started doing something when I was doing YouTube more actively. I kind of started doing something there where I did a series called The First 15, or The First Minutes of, where I played the first 15 to 20 minutes of a game. And I just went through my Steam list. And it was kind of a cool idea, and I really liked doing it, but and it gave me an idea for, is this gonna become a series or is it not? You know? So I have too many sins in my Steam library. How about you?
I don't have so many sins as such, I don't think, because I haven't. I mean, it's a healthy enough library. I don't know. There isn't I've just noticed that there isn't actually like a count of games, but oh yeah, there is. Hang on. It's hidden away there on that bar. So I have 84 products. I don't know. It seems like a lot, but I don't think when you scroll through the list, it doesn't actually feel like it's that much.
I mean, like I know I'm not the biggest sinner out there, but
counting everything, I might have more than that.
Let me
If they're in uncategorized and they're in favor, it's 2 different categories, so I actually have more than that.
I closed down Steam because it was just
too tempting. I have 136 products. I lied. I have some in Epic, but only about 20 or 30, but they're mostly just, they were free, so I haven't ever bought a game on Epic. I just have all the ones they give away for free each week. So
yeah.
Nothing my
wrong
biggest,
with that, by the way.
It's not like a stage of regret yet, but I'm worried about how much time is ticking by. I really need to book some time. This is something I want to do, actually. I don't know if I'll achieve it this year, probably not, but I'd like to sit down and say, okay, I'm going to play this game here and here in this block, so that I can orient towards it and get myself, like, whatever, maybe emotes and whatever, everything ready for it, so that it go, and all the community can get used to it, and I can do some YouTubes around it and stuff like that. I like to do blocks, not map out the entire year, because that would be just horrible and become stressful, I think, but just map out a couple of blocks and say, okay, in March I'm going to do this, in May I'm going to do that, in July I want to do this, and so forth, right? And then let everything, and also I want to pay more attention to like releases and demos and stuff like that. The one of the ones for me is Red Dead Redemption 2, where I've so much enjoyed the story of that. It truly is a masterpiece of a game, I think, or for me at least, my experience. But I haven't got to the end yet, and I'm almost at the point now where I could go back and it's going to take me like 2 or 3 sessions to even remember what the heck was going on, which is kind of sad. The flip side is I could probably play through it again and have a different experience, because it's such a good and an interesting game with the nuances and side quests and things. But that one I regret not having mapped time out and gone back to. In terms of I'm just looking down the list now. I've got one in there that I bought because I really think everyone says it's brilliant, and I just haven't even really played through the prologue yet, but it already gave me the first impression that it was good. Was the original Vampire the Masquerade. I just struggle with it because it's so old, like graphically and all that other, you have to mod it and really mess around with it to make it. So I kind of regret that I haven't found time to actually sort of play through that one. And other than that, I've got a bunch of games that I struggle to find any time for whatsoever. But yeah, there's some that I've bought on recommendations, like ones you recommended to me, and I'm like, oh, I really want to play this one, and I want to play that one. I've been pretty good. I've bought a few games recently because there's been quite a few things on sale, so I've just kind of grabbed them. I'm trying to look through and see if there's anything that really jumps out at me. I regret buying Watch Dogs 2 because it's just kind of was rubbish. That's one of the few games where I've just like, I cannot get into this at all. I just delete. Goodbye.
I fully enjoyed Watch Dogs, the first one.
Yes.
But I tried to get into the DLC of the first one, but it was kind of So Watch Dogs 2 and further down the line, it didn't really make me feel like, ooh, this is something I want to play. But yeah, so how many games did you say?
I think it's 136 plus whatever's on Epic.
Okay. So Steam alone, 411.
Wow. Yeah. Well, you've been at this a lot longer than I have.
Yeah, but still.
That's a lot of products.
It is. It is way too many. I mean, maybe that's the biggest sin of all, that I have so many that I didn't even know how many I had.
Well, I mean, to be fair, it's not really something you think. And the other thing is this is like your business as well, so your livelihood. So, I struggled with that for quite a long time, and it's only really through the course of this year that I've started to get my head around the fact that it's actually okay to pick up some of these products sometimes, because this is actually what I do. But I really give myself, even still now, a hard time of like, don't buy that. It's like, it's on sale. It's half price. Yeah, but don't. Why? You could just, you could just give that money to a charity or whatever. And I'm always chastising myself over like everything like that. And it's like, but the thing that I'm doing is enabling me to like bring people together and share that good vibe and support people. So it's useful to have. I don't want to just play the 3 games I have, but that said, 136, there's got to be plenty of content I can find.
There's quite a few hours there. Yeah,
exactly. I think the other thing is that I can quite quickly. It's a weird thing where it sounds like a contradiction, but I can be playing a thing and think, yeah, this is quite good, and then I just don't want to play it anymore for a while or whatever. I just put it down. Yeah, no, and it's like, what did the game do wrong? Or it's like, no, I was having fun. I was quite enjoying it and that, but if push comes to shove, I'll play this other one instead or whatever, we'll move on. And so I guess that's some of it where I don't want to buy things because it's like, you're going to play like 2 hours of that and then you can put it down and that's it. And you're never going to get back to it. So I guess that's more the feeling I have sometimes.
Again, kind of like a throwback to diversification and playing other games on other platforms and and getting time to do that.
See,
I see an opportunity here.
A live red hot example of that for me is I bought Foundation on recommendations. Oh yeah, and it seemed really cool, and did a bit of research, and I did a first try. Like, this is my first ever, literally just launching it, go through the settings, whatever. I did a little YouTube thing for it the other day. And I felt guilty because I was like, I'm not streaming this, so people, can't live react and tell me what a dingus I am, why I'm pressing all the wrong buttons or whatever. But I really enjoyed that. It was a chill experience and it was a great first impression, and I want to do a series of them. And one of the reasons I feel good about doing that is because more content for another platform, so the diversification, but also it meant I won't have a bad conscience about not being able to get back and play some of the other games that people are currently hooked on. Because one of the things I pick up on a lot, and people don't always realize this, that you get you get those comments and people don't mean anything wrong with it. They're like, oh, you're playing that, or oh, what, you're not playing this, or when are you going back to that, or and then it starts to play on my heartstrings a bit because I'm like, well, look, I'm sorry you're not I wish you were enjoying this one as much, or
Yep.
or also just I want to go back and play that other one, but unless I stream for 20 hours every day or something, it's not going to happen.
That's the thing. It's all about the time.
Mm.
Ing Tiger. Sorry. One last one from Mari that says, what were your favorite collaborations and or sponsorships? And I haven't done all that many of them.
Mm-hmm.
But I gotta say, I love working with the products that like the Call of the Wild people, like
Mm-hmm.
both the angler, and I've done one for the hunter for them, and they're great people to work with. Like, WeHype as a platform and as people are great to work with. So I'd say I those are good, but like I know there's been some sponsorships dropped to us through Stream Elements. But they feel very generic, and they're often just for big things. Like twice now they've offered me Genshin Impact, and I've turned them down, saying this is not for me. Like this is not something that me or my community would enjoy. I said yes to Raid because that's a game that I actually kind of enjoyed. I said yes to try Throne, Kingdom and War, but it was like, nah, that wasn't for me. But we made some money from it. But honestly, no, great collaboration with the people at WeHype, and yes, we both have an opportunity of doing the Angler again with a new update.
Yes, it was a lot of fun.
And so they contacted us again and said, hey, do you want to do the update? And I've said yes. So we'll probably be doing that very soon.
Yes.
But no, I'd probably say them, honestly. How about you? Do you have any special?
It's like the only one that I've actually done so far. So I've been kind of a little bit slack on, well, not slack, but I just hasn't really been anything that's particularly piqued my interest. The Angler one was just a really fun opportunity, just good timing. I'm super happy that one's coming up again. I would agree with you on the WeHype. I haven't had as much contact with them as you, but they're just straightforward and positive. I have enjoyed the few dealings with the Hooded Horse people. They've been very fun, but that's not like a direct sponsorship or collaboration as such, or in any sort of depth to it. But they're cool folks. So it sort of bodes well. I think it's just a case of navigating your way through and picking things that kind of make sense. I sometimes I wonder if I shouldn't just say, look, okay, we'll do like sponsored Tuesdays or something, and just line things up and say, like, on a Tuesday it'll be whatever, some random thing. There's just a sponsor thing because it helps us to put money towards the pledge and put some coffee on the table and there you go. So I sometimes think about that, but a lot of the products I'm just not. It's just not the right fit for me, So I don't like the idea of sitting there going, "Isn't this great?" with my teeth gritted and a smile painted on my face, kind of thing. I just can't really do that. And I'm not criticizing anybody who kind of goes through that stuff. Some people do it really professionally and really well, and all power to them. No problem with that whatsoever. But I don't know. I guess the other thing is then I would kick myself. Why am I spending time doing that when I could be doing other stuff that hopefully will be fun and more engaging for the community and bring some more smiles,
Absolutely. I see we have another question, actually. from UrbanHangman. He asks, what one upcoming game or update to a game are you most excited for and why? Release dates into 2023. And I think we've answered this several times. I honestly don't know if there's a game I'm super excited for, but I know you are very much looking forward to being Jeff again. The other King Jeff.
Yes, the other one. Well, all of them. Yeah, I've just discovered that there's this kind of bundle of games, or more I suppose more like just things around medieval times and that. I guess I've always been interested in those kind of things. I've always liked those kind of films and those kind of stories, and I didn't really put two and together for whatever reason, thinking about the video games. But I've fallen in love with a few different ones. But Manor Lords has got something magical about it that very much excites me, even as, you know, it's still like in that demo stage. There's something about it, and I think it's the energy and enthusiasm of the one developer as much as anything. But there's a few products of that ilk. I haven't really had a chance to look or play yet. This Land of the Vikings, but I'm very excited about the possibility of looking at that soon, because that's coming out soon. I want to play a little bit more of Foundation in a sort of YouTube style and see how we get on with that. I'd love another. So talking about the linking that to the Steam topic and the games, Medieval Dynasty, absolutely smitten with that. But when, like, I need to commit like a solid 2-week block and just go through it, because I don't rush these things. I don't like speeding things up or, you know, sleeping through the time as you do in that game or anything. I like to experience all of it and try and live the character through it. So it makes it a more drawn out process for me than it is for a lot of people. Yeah. Other than that, I'm more excited about the upcoming and potential role play opportunities. There's something going on the next few days that I'm missing out on. It's not strictly speaking a full role play, but we would role play, and it'll be the 7 Days to Die that a bunch of streamer friends are doing. But I've got to skip that one, just energy and time, because of the charity thing I'm doing next week. So yeah, I guess that's the most obvious one is that. But I'm also excited, as I said, to get back into a few other bits and pieces. I can't wait to get back to Red Dead 2. You know, even War Thunder, just to get a chance to get in there and just do some more cinematic stuff and some more sim. I'd love to get into some sim events again. I know those have been kind of on the back burner for the community for a while because of real life or whatever. But I really enjoyed those. So, and yeah, guess that's my long-winded answer to that one.
And one last one. Says Urban, what items would you suggest getting for the gamer in your life this Christmas, as it's only just around the corner? This is, I'm dead serious about this answer. A good water bottle. A good water bottle that keeps the water fresh and enjoyable. Like, for me, it has to keep it cool. For others, it might need to keep it oxidized or whatever. I don't know. But for me, a water bottle that keeps it cool for a long time, so that I can fill it up and have it on my desk here and drink from it when I need it, that is probably one of the better ones. And I do think a lot of other gamers out there would probably have a proper hydration bottle ready is good. So don't go for gadgets. Gamers will get their own gadgets these days, you know.
Yeah.
So that, or maybe I don't know. How about a pair of good slippers, or you know, something to keep your feet warm and cozy.
Can't really go wrong with a good pair of slippers.
That honestly true. Like, just these huge fluffy loafers, just go for that. It's always good. Anyway, we're moving on to the last segment of the stream.
Mm-hmm.
Stream podcast, not stream podcast.
There you go.
Hello, brain.
The streamcast.
The streamcast. And it's something to smile about.
Mm-hmm.
Who goes first?
Let me go first.
Okay.
This time, because I like your one a lot, and I think it'd be a nice wrapper.
Okay.
So mine is a surprise package.
Hello.
And the story of this one is really a story of I guess the deterioration and degeneration of my brain over time. We've got a whole bunch of things going on lately, and one of the things I finally got around to doing, thanks to Tiger's help, was setting up some simple merch stuff.
Hey.
I did that, and I was super excited, and they have like a sample budget, and you can order a few things and pay a couple of bucks for a couple of others, and so you get to like try your own stuff out and all the rest of it. And then I got all these different mails saying, "Oh, this is ordered, and that's ordered, and this will come on this time," and they're all getting things all separately, whatever. Not how I wanted it, but just how it went. And then through all of that, I think 1 or 2 days later, I got a message saying, "Oh, something's being delivered like in 2 days." And I was like, "Oh, wow, okay, that's amazing." So then the day comes and we're streaming and whatever, and I'm like, "Oh, I'm really excited. Something's arriving today." And I'm talking about the merch stuff and all the rest of it, and I'm like, "Oh, I hope you guys are gonna like it." And then buzz like that, or I think it was actually after stream, the doorbell goes, "Go and get it." And actually, oh no, that's what it was. They didn't buzz. They shoved. If you get a T-shirt, right? So I've had this twice now in the last week. They shove it in my post box without buzzing. They just drop it there. So like, I was going out shopping or whatever, and I found it in the post box. And I was like, "Oh, that's really cool." It would have been even cooler if they'd like buzzed. But anyway, whatever.
Because it's delivered in such a small package that it actually fits through the mail slot. Yeah.
So I mean, at least I get it. I don't mind too much, but it's just funny. So I went off, did my grocery run and everything, and I was thinking the whole time, like, this is amazing how quick this stuff arrived. I'll come back, grab it, come upstairs, put all the shopping away and all the rest of it, open up this package. It's a completely different package that I'd ordered a whole week or so, week and a half earlier. I had entirely forgotten about it. And the reason it made me smile was because it was my Grumpy Beard cancer T-shirt.
Hey.
And I was like, "Oh, this is amazing. I got to support Grumpy. I get to wear this T-shirt, which is really cool, by the way. You should get yourself one. And I get to feel like I'm like giving him a beard hug. And I wear that now every Friday for the grumbling." So I was just like, and so it made me smile anyway. But the fact that I genuinely, and people will be like, "Yeah, whatever." I'm like, "No, seriously, I had completely forgotten I'd ordered it."
Yeah.
And part of it was I wanted to keep it secret and not mention it to Grumpy until I had it on.
Ah, right.
And the
Like that.
grumbling.
Yeah.
So I went so far, I kind of like deleted it completely out of my own consciousness so that I didn't accidentally go, "Oh, by the way, I bought one of your T-shirts." Oh, damn it. He'd be like, "Show me." So perhaps that was part of it. Brain actually helping me.
Oh, that's great. That is great. Yeah, no, for anybody ordering through any fourth wall store, by the way, since you mentioned it, they have multiple fulfillment centers. So you might get, like, even if you order multiple items at the same time, you might get them in several different packages. So just so you know. But yeah, no, that's a great story. I like it. I like the idea of your brain just kind of, let's make this a real surprise for you.
Yeah, exactly. And then, but it was like a double whammy boomerang because it came back and hit me in the face. Because then I got it on the Wednesday, and it's like, "Oh, I can't wear this till Friday." So I was like sitting on this package for 2 days, like, "Oh, don't say anything."
Oh, that's great. But the only thing you've done is you've just fed his Eric Webb addiction.
I know.
That man. I guess we know where all his the Twitch money is going.
Great art though.
It is. It is very well worth it. With well, yeah, I'm turning Welsh. I think. I don't know. Anyway, speaking of turning Welsh, no idea where that segue is going, but the other day, or I say the other day, it's a bit back now. I was sitting in my channel, and I think I was streaming Satisfactory. I don't remember, but it was one of those days where I just needed something very chill. My brain was going burr all day long, and then Rayvarn came in, and he said, "I hope you have a dapper day." And I just kind of latched on to that, because what a great thing to say to somebody. Like, you're giving somebody a great thing. Like, you're wishing they have a dapper day. Okay, so here's why this is so great. Feeling dapper is like, it's not sexualized. It's not tied to whether or not you've lost weight. It's not tied to whether or not you've put on certain clothes. Like, yeah, it'll help if you have like something that makes you feel dapper, but it's completely up to you what makes you feel dapper or not. So it's just such a great way of wishing somebody a good day and hoping that they're feeling well, because there's nothing you can tie to it that is negative. Plus, it's such great language too. I hope you have a dapper day.
Yeah, it is.
Because it's more than just a feeling in your brain. It's it's dapper. It's indescribable. I can't properly put my words to it.
One of those, I don't know what the phrase or the word for it or whatever, but it's one of those like phonetically, at least in the English language, kind of like appealing. Like, it's a short word, it's quick, it's snappy, but it's not aggressive. It's just a very comfortable word, I think, to use and to hear.
Yeah, and
I think that's an element of it as well.
You instantly have an idea of, like, I might not sit here in a chapeau clock and a full pinstripe suit, but I can still feel dapper.
Yep.
Like, I can still have the feeling of being dapper and being a proper, upstanding member of society. I don't know, not to tie too much to it, but the feeling of being dapper is more than just looking a certain way or such. Like, it's all in you, all in your brain.
I think it's exactly like, in the simplistic terms it is, but in a more deeper sort of sentimental way, it goes way beyond that. I agree. It's just about wishing a positive feeling, positive energy on somebody's experience.
And it was such a great thing to say. So thank you, Rayvarn, if you listen to this. Like, I think I might start borrowing that a tiny bit from time to time. I know it's his character thing when you play Atlas and such.
Yeah.
And it's such a great thing. So I'm not gonna steal it outright, but I'm gonna borrow it from time to time, and wish people a dapper day.
He's not someone who's gonna complain about that.
I said to him, dude, can I borrow that? He's like, yeah, go for it.
Yeah.
Get it out there. So Rayvarn, thank you so much for that. Thank you for being a good egg. And with that, I want to thank the rest of you good eggs for listening to the 10th episode of Exit Report this season. We're quickly coming up on the end of the year. And I'm not sure how we're gonna do it for for the 12th episode, but I'll be in Germany then. Unless anything goes wrong, that is. But no. Just knock on wood. At least the plan is for me to be in Germany. Tickets are bought. So yeah. Who knows? Maybe we'll do it live. Maybe we won't. I don't know. We'll see.
You know what? We'll work it out nearer the time.
Yeah, we'll workshop it. That's becoming a thing now. It's been a thing for a long time, but it's becoming a thing now.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you so much, everybody, for listening in. We will be finding you the next time we are done with the battle and we exit the port. So it's just gonna be a goodbye from me and a goodbye from Grumbles.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.